Hello, and welcome to the second video on the novel fire debris application called Fire Debris Application, RShiny as a Graphical User Interface. My name is Michelle Corbally, and I will be narrating this video. The first thing I would like to do is to go into a little background about RShiny. Shiny is an R package that allows you to build applications straight from R. RShiny has two major sections of code to develop the application so that it can be run. The first section of code is the user interface, which controls the layout and appearance of the application, and the second section of code is the server function. The server function holds the instructions on how to build the application. An analyst can use the application by inputting data into the code using the user interface, and then the inputted data is run through the code stored in the server. The data run through the server is then outputted back to the user interface, where an analyst can see the results for their data. Shiny applications can be run just on a computer using a mini web service and can be further placed on the web by the code developer server or through RStudio's hosting server. So for this application, before you can get to the tabs of the fire debris analysis application itself, a sign-in screen is used to secure the application so only people with a username and password can log in. A picture of the sign-in screen can be seen here, where the username and password are required in order to authenticate your ability to get to the application. The home screen of the application is the first tab that pops up when you log into the application itself. The home screen gives general information on where to find different information to use the application and explains why the application was developed and what it is used for. On the User Instructions tab, instructions for running a sample directly from the National Center for Forensic Science databases and uploading a file from your own laboratory are present. A hydrocarbon template Excel file is also provided in this tab in order to input the retention times for the carbon ladder run from the ASTM reference standard on your GCMS. An example of a portion of the hydrocarbon template can be seen here on this slide. The column for retention time is empty and will be filled by the individual laboratories by inserting the retention times of the hydrocarbon ladder from the same set of samples as the CDF that's been uploaded to be analyzed. It is highly important to insert the correct retention times for each laboratory's instruments to properly convert the retention time of the chromatograms run to retention indices. Converting retention time to retention index is important in making this application usable between different laboratories and instruments. The retention indices are calculated from retention time using a cubic spline interpolation model. General theory for how the application code analyzes the sample is present on the Theory tab of the application. On this tab, there are general descriptions of the theory about how the application detects peaks and the parameters used for compound identification, how a full factorial analysis was used to determine the parameters for peak detection and compound identification, and how principal factors were retained using DRMAD for compound identification using target factor analysis. For a more thorough description of the theory used for this application, click the link in the description for peak detection and compound identification. An example of the application in use is shown on this slide. For this example, we will look at sample NCFS 014, which is an isoparaffinic sample from the International Database of Ignitable Liquids run by the National Center for Forensic Science. We will start the analysis on the Compound Analysis tab. In the top left corner of the application, there is a checkbox that can be clicked in order to run a sample from the NCFS database. The default for this button is unclicked so that you can run a CDF file of your choice with its respective hydrocarbon template CSV that was downloaded from the User Instructions tab. The boxes to upload the hydrocarbon template and CDF file from your lab will be present. Click to upload the hydrocarbon template as a CSV file first and the CDF file from the same day second. In this example, though, we will be looking at a preloaded sample from one of the National Center for Forensic Science databases, so we will check the box. A drop-down menu of the preloaded NCFS samples and the ASTM class of ignitable liquid they contain is available when the checkbox is checked. When NCFS 014 is loaded, two chromatograms appear in the right-hand section of the screen. The chromatograms are highlighted here. The top chromatogram is the uploaded chromatogram from the database, and the bottom chromatogram is the reference compound chromatogram based on the optimized parameters explained earlier in the presentation. As you can see, the hydrocarbon ladder is noted with red dotted lines. After the final red line on this graph, which represents C26, the area is grayed out. This is because the hydrocarbon ladder uploaded for the hydrocarbon template for this file only goes up to C26. Underneath the chromatograms is a table that shows the headings that were defined on the previous slide. The peak number is the peak number detected of the detected peak in the fire debris chromatogram. Peak RI is the retention index of that peak in the fire debris chromatogram. CAS is the chemical abstract services number of the potential compound identified. Compound name and compound RI is the name of the compound identified and the RI of the potential compound identified, respectively. And correlation is the mass spectral correlation between the compound in the fire debris chromatogram and the compound in the NCFS mass spectral library. In this example, for peak number 1, 2,3,4-trimethylpentane and 2,3,3-trimethylpentane were identified with a Pearson correlation of 0.999. In the top left, there are also radio buttons that allow you to swap between the total ion chromatogram and extracted ion chromatograms. The extracted ion chromatograms are available for the alkanes, aromatic, indanes, cycloalkanes/alkenes, polynuclear aromatics, and alcohols and ketones. There's also an ability to zoom in to better compare the peaks in the unknown sample chromatogram with the reference compound identifications. Select the area you want to zoom into and double-click. A zoom-in portion of the chromatogram will pop up with the carbon ladder still labeled with the dotted red lines. You can then double-click to return to the full view of the chromatogram again. The ILRC Reference tab allows for comparison of the fire debris sample uploaded or the sample uploaded from the NCFS database to be compared to ignitable liquids from the ILRC. The ASTM classes can be seen in the top of the gray box on the left side of the application. Petroleum distillate has been split into light, medium, and heavy petroleum distillate due to the large number of petroleum distillate samples that are found in the ILRC. The SRNs for ignitable liquids in the ASTM class selected with the radial buttons will appear in the drop-down menu highlighted here. For this example, we will select the radial button for isoparaffinic ignitable liquids and select SRN 287 from the ILRC for reference. The top chromatogram in the pane is the total ion chromatogram of the fire debris sample that was uploaded, and the bottom chromatogram is the total ion chromatogram of SRN 287. Once the total ion chromatogram of the fire debris sample has been compared to the total ion chromatogram of the ignitable liquid sample, you can return to the gray pane on the left side of the screen in order to switch between the different extracted ion profiles for the chromatograms. The final tab in the application is the Acknowledgements tab. The Acknowledgements tab has the award number for the grant supporting the development of this application from the National Institute of Justice. In summary, the fire debris application allows for ease of use in analyzing fire debris samples for compounds and allows the ability to compare fire debris samples to ignitable liquid references. After signing as the application, the 6 major tabs available for the application are the Home page, User Instructions, Theory, Compound Analysis, ILRC Reference, and Acknowledgements tabs. General instructions for use and the theory behind the application can also be found in the User Instructions tab and Theory tab, and are readily available for analysts interested in using the application. Thank you for your time. For more information on the novel fire debris application, as written by the contributing authors on this slide, please click on the links in the description below.